Hello there, and welcome to the Nutrition Diva podcast. I'm your host, Monica Reinagel, and today I thought we'd take a closer look at claims that an alkaline diet will help keep you healthier. There are a slew of diet books out there claiming that balancing the pH of your diet will balance your blood chemistry, prevent disease, heal your gut, help you lose weight, and generally optimize your health. You'll also find extensive lists of alkaline and acid-forming foods, even pH strips, to test the pH of your saliva or your urine. So let's sort fact from fiction, starting with a few facts. Every food you eat leaves a residue in the body after it is fully digested, and that residue, or ash, is either acidic or alkaline. This has nothing to do with whether the food itself is acidic. Lemons, for example, are acidic, as you can tell by their pucker factor, and yet lemons leave an alkaline residue. To keep this from getting too confusing, the preferred terminology is that lemon is an acidic food, but not an acid-forming food. In general, fruits and vegetables are alkaline-forming, whereas meats and grains are acid-forming. Now, the devil, of course, is in the details, and if you go poking around online, you're likely to run into a lot of contradictory advice. Foods that are listed as acid-forming on one website, listed as alkaline-forming on another. Sometimes this is because of confusion between the pH of the food itself and the pH of its ash or residue. Or it may be due to wellness influencers who don't really understand the science and end up cutting and pasting bad information from some other influencers' misinformed materials. There's a lot of that going around in the world of wellness influencers. Anyway, some people believe that if we eat too many acid-forming foods, our blood or our tissues will become acidic and that this promotes disease. Therefore, we can balance the pH in our bodies and restore health by eating more alkaline-forming foods. Now, it is absolutely true that maintaining the proper pH in your body's tissues is crucial, not just to staying healthy, but to staying alive at all. If your blood got even slightly too acidic or too alkaline and stayed that way for more than a few minutes, you'd be in a coma or worse. But what you eat actually has very little effect on the pH of your blood. Believe me, nature is not about to let your survival hinge on your dietary discretion. We have several systems in place to maintain pH balance in our bodies no matter what we eat. The kidneys help by filtering out excess acids from the blood and excreting them in the urine. And if you've read anything about this theory, you might have come across the part where they tell you to test the pH of your urine. So as I said, you can buy inexpensive pH sticks at the drugstore and pee on them. And if you try this, you will see that what you eat absolutely does change the pH of your urine. And to some, that is proof that the acid-alkaline theory is true, but actually, the reason that the pH of your urine is changing is so that the pH of your blood doesn't. Worrying about the pH of your urine makes about as much sense as worrying about the dirt in your trash. Both of them are leaving the premises. The trash is carried out to the curb, and any dirt it contains isn't going to make your house any dirtier. And likewise, the urine is being flushed, and therefore it is not making your body any more acidic. The lungs also help by regulating the amount of carbon dioxide, or CO2, that's in the blood. When you exhale, your lungs expel CO2, which is acidic. By adjusting how fast and deep you breathe, your lungs can quickly increase or decrease the blood's acidity, keeping those pH levels within a healthy range. Together, these systems ensure that the body's pH remains balanced and quite stable. There's a slightly more sophisticated version of the acid-alkaline theory that acknowledges that a healthy body is able to maintain its pH no matter what you eat. However, if you eat too many acid-forming foods, the effort of maintaining pH will deplete the body's resources, which may then leave you vulnerable to disease. For example, another way that your body balances its pH is to pull calcium from the bones. Although, because this works much more slowly than either your lungs or your kidneys, it's definitely a secondary strategy. However, it is plausible that over time, an acid-forming dietary pattern could promote bone loss. And several studies have attempted to test this hypothesis. In 2018, researchers writing in the journal Nutrients reviewed the evidence on this question, examining the relationship between the dietary acid load and bone health, particularly focusing on osteoporosis. On the one hand, studies show that when blood pH is at the low end of that rather narrow normal range that's maintained by the kidneys and the lungs, cells called osteoclasts, which dissolve bone, are activated. And those cells in charge of forming bone, they're called osteoblasts, are inhibited. And clinical human studies have shown that supplementing with an alkaline substance, which is essentially an antacid, can improve calcium balance and reduce bone resorption markers in the short term. Ironically, chronic use of antacids can negatively impact bone health because they make your body less able to absorb calcium. On the other hand, meta-analysis have found no significant long-term effects of dietary acid load on bone mineral density or fracture risk. These are the real-world consequences that we're actually concerned about. The truth is that other factors, such as age, genetics, exercise habits, and overall nutrient intakes, probably have a much bigger influence on our bone health than the acid load of our diets. With all of that said, however, there may still be good reasons to eat a pH-balancing diet. It just may have less to do with pH than people believe. After all, what would that diet look like? Well, for one thing, it would be high in fruits and vegetables. And unless this is the very first episode that you've ever listened to, you can probably recite with me the many benefits of eating more fruits and vegetables. A diet high in fruits and vegetables is going to be high in antioxidants, vitamins, minerals, and fiber. And if you're also trying to limit your intake of acid-producing foods, that means you're probably going to end up reducing your intake of sugar, refined grains, and processed meats. Regardless of the pH aspect, that sounds to me like a good way to improve your health. In other words, I don't think anybody's going to get hurt following a pH-balanced diet as long as the diet is otherwise balanced and nutritious. I just think that it's an unnecessarily complicated way to get to that same old punchline: eat more vegetables, less junk, and nothing to excess. Finally, I don't think there's any need to spend money on fancy alkaline water. Not only is there little evidence to support its benefits, but good old mineral water can provide many of the same purported benefits. And as for supplements that claim to alkalize the body, although they might have a minor transient impact on blood pH, nudging it toward the top end of the narrow normal range, alkalizing supplements are likely to have a much more dramatic and not necessarily beneficial impact on the pH of the stomach. The stomach needs to be a very acidic environment in order to optimize digestion and absorption of nutrients, including those that support bone health. If you have a question you'd like me to answer, you can email me at nutrition@quickanddirtytips.com. You can also leave me a voicemail at 443-961-6206. If you could use some help actually putting all of the healthy diet advice we talk about on this show into action in your daily life, you might also enjoy my other podcast. It's called The Change Academy, and we focus on the science of habits and behavior change. You can find it on all the major podcast platforms. Just search for Change Academy. Nutrition Diva is a Quick and Dirty Tips podcast. Our team includes Brandon Getchis, Nathan Sems, Davina Tomlin, Holly Hutchings, and Morgan Christensen. That's all for this episode. Thanks so much for listening. I'll see you next week.